Tanse Bujuanid. My name is David McLeod of the National Indigenous Programming Advisory Committee. In early October, 6 artists took part in the 2024 OHSOTO'KINO Music Incubator, a special program designed to give artists career guidance and mentorship from Indigenous and non-Indigenous industry leaders. I had a chance to sit down and chat with the participants, and here's a bit of our conversation. This is Kaeley Jade at the National Music Center. Kaeley, welcome to the National Music Center. We're here for the OHSOTO'KINO Music Incubator, and it's exciting to have you. It's great you're here. And, we know you love your music. And what can you tell us about your music career so far?
I started when I was really young, I was gigging from the age of 9, and I started recording music and releasing it in 2020, so kind of pandemic times. But I feel like, honestly, one of my favorite moments so far was getting to play at the 2024 Canadian Folk Music Awards in St. John's, Newfoundland with my band. That was so incredible. All the people were so nice. Everyone that we talked to was so lovely. And just being, that stage was beautiful, and just kind of looking out and feeling such a sense of gratitude for where I was and who I was on stage with. And it was incredible.
And congratulations on the awards you've received.
Thank you.
Can you share with us a bit about some of the awards?
Yeah, so I ended up taking home the Indigenous Songwriter Award at the Folk Awards, and that was that blew me away. There was no way that I thought I was going to win anything that weekend. Let alone that one. So that was really special. And also for some of my work in the theater industry, I was recognized with the Summer Solstice Indigenous Music Award for Music and the Arts for my work on Two-Headed Half-Hearted. That was also really incredible, and that was in Ottawa that I got to receive that one. So
I like how varied your career is too. I mean, you're working with the NHL. But the hockey on one hand?
Well, yeah, one of my songs was used in one of not the Oilers game. I think it was Las Vegas Golden Knights or something. It was one of those games that they had played one of my songs. That was really cool.
And then also with involvement with a couple of programs on APTN as well.
Yeah. Some of my music recently got synced with a show called Warrior Up, which was really cool.
And it was another song as well.
For syncs and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, I've done a few different things. I know for some indie projects, I've kind of pitched my music for those, and they've been used in, there was a film called Oma with Numera Films, and Link to the Past production. It's called No Apology. There was also a song that was used in that one as well. So
your music is being heard all over the place. You're getting awards for it, and you're here at the Music Incubator. So what areas do you want to strengthen?
I'm gonna be coming back to the studio and recording a new album really, really soon. So this week was such a great opportunity for me to kind of dive back into the world of recording and releasing, and it really is giving me an opportunity to ask the questions that I need to ask to prepare me accordingly for that experience. And also the industry, I think, is evolving and changing so quickly. So I feel like opportunities like this to just be hey, this is changing. What do I do about it? How would you navigate this? Having space to ask those questions, I think, is so important. So it's been really great so far.
Could you share a little bit about your Indigenous background?
Yeah, so I'm settler, but I'm also Métis. I'm a proud citizen of the Métis Nation of Alberta with family ties to Frog Lake as well.
Nice. And how has that played a role in your life?
Yeah, my grandpa was president of the Métis Local in 1935 in Fort McMurray growing up. He held that position when I was a really little kid, so we kind of got to do a lot of things with the Métis Local when I was younger. So I guess growing up into that, it's really informed my community around me and my family, I think, have really informed the way that I view the world and the creative voice that I've developed too. And I'm currently working in the community with Braided Journeys in Edmonton with the Edmonton Catholic school system. So this year we're going to be working with junior high students on kind of a creative arts program outside of school. So it's kind of building resilience through theater and through performing arts. It's kind of our whole shtick that we're operating with.
So you see the arts different than some people might see the arts, and Could you share a little bit about that? How do you perceive the arts playing a role, like in in social situations?
Whoa, I think there's so much that you can learn from the arts. I think that it filters through everything that you do as a human being. I think that everyone is creative inside, and I think that it's so important that we honor our inner creativity and be able to tap into those areas of ourselves in any situation. Like, I think that there's creativity that can come in like algebra and math. Like, I think that imagination is at the core of creativity, and being able to use that in any situation is very important. I think, like, it heals our inner child too, being able to express yourself, whether that's through like visual art or theater or music or like any combination. Could be like building Lego, like, I think all of those things really build a sense of inner satisfaction in ourselves.
It's interesting. We live in a time right now where Indigenous arts are getting so much attention. We saw that at the Juno Awards. We're seeing that at other awards where Indigenous, and like yourself, as yourself being recognized. And what do you think's what's this wave of Indigenous talent and recognition right now? Obviously, having roots from many decades ago, but today there seems to be a fundamental focus on it consistently. Why is that, do you think?
Well, I think that, especially in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I think that a lot of organizations and communities are trying to bring this more to the forefront. I think that there's so much talent in Indigenous communities as well that deserves to be recognized and deserves to be celebrated. So I feel like we're kind of going through this big Indigenous renaissance, in a way. And I think it's so incredible to be able to look out in the community and be inspired by so many creative people celebrating their art, how they want to celebrate it, and how they're free to express themselves the way that they're able to and want to.
Nice. So when you have all this varied background, you're also an actor.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
On top of everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how has that been in terms of being a musician and doing some acting?
Yeah. So I was kind of going back and forth in high school on what I wanted to pursue in post-secondary. I was kind of going back between like music program or maybe like an acting program. And I eventually ended up getting my Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting, which really changed the way that I view performance in general. I think that a lot of the teaching that I learned in that program, especially clown, I got to do clown in my schooling, and I think, which is awesome. And I think it really taught me so much about vulnerability and honesty on stage, and being able to create this magical space between yourself and the audience. So I think that they're so closely linked, these two worlds, like theater, acting, film, music, and they get to kind of converge and coalesce in some really exciting ways. Like music videos, for example, it's a really great way for me to kind of bring in my acting and bring in my film, and also like musicals. I got to co-write a musical, and that was that experience in itself, like sound design, those sort of things. They all bring everything together and kind of bring skills and bring teachings from different disciplines together, which is so much fun.
Nice. And we're asking everyone to talk, if you could speak to your music genre. Why are you going the direction you are?
Yeah, I think mostly because it's fun. I think that that's the music that I'm creating right now is stuff that really fuels me and enriches me in my life. And for me, being like, I guess, like a folk indie pop mixer-upper, like
it's not just one.
Yeah,
it kind of moves around.
It does, and I think bringing all of these different flavors in give me a lot more chance to play within the genre and bring in elements of each genre that I really like. Like, for example, I think the storytelling in folk music is unparalleled. So being able to kind of explore storytelling in that medium while also bringing in some elements of like some punchy pop production and catchiness from the pop genre, some grit from indie rock. Like, I think that all together kind of is very exciting to me.
And that kind of comes through with your recording. So when people press play, you're not necessarily going to know what you're exactly going to get. Yeah.
I think like my music is quite dynamic. I think that I like to kind of introduce a lot of variation, and a lot of my projects, I'm like, okay, how can I make this different? Like, what are the new things I can challenge myself with in my recordings and in my new songs?
What are some signs that you've had so far where you go, you know what, I'm on the right path. I should be doing music. Do any of examples come to mind?
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, obviously like accolades in the community are such a nice reinforcement because it's your peers that are recognizing your achievements. I think, anytime I hear something like that, it's like, okay, like it's not just me, it's not just my family, like other people believe in me outside of just my own circle.
When I saw you at the Indigenous Music Summit, I know it was great to see you with, so many artists. So
that was incredible too. And being able to play in like TD Music Hall was like, blew my mind.
Massey Hall.
Yeah, like, and the sound was incredible. The stage is so beautiful. Because I didn't showcase last year. I attended and I was like, oh man, I want to be up there so bad. It looks so gorgeous and so beautiful. So I think like those moments have been really key in shaping that. But I think also there's like so many small moments that I screenshot on my phone, whether someone like DMs me on Instagram and they're just like, hey, like my daughter, this. Actually, I got to play in a school on National Indigenous Peoples Day this year, and I shared some of my works, and one of the parents of one of the students emailed me after and was like, hey, like, just so you know, I had to share this. My daughter's been talking about you all day and how inspiring you are to her as a Métis artist, because she was Métis, and just hearing those sort of things, I think, really makes me feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think that's incredible to be able to have those moments too.
What are you hoping for, like career-wise? Where do you hope things are going to go, say, in the next 5 years?
5 years. I would love to start playing in other countries. I feel like I've really focused the last 5 years on building up my audience in Canada and kind of figuring out the ins and outs of touring, especially as an independent artist. Figuring out how to route a tour between like here in BC or here in Toronto and back, and figuring out all of that stuff. So I think within the next 5 years, would love to release another album and like start playing in maybe communities over in the UK and Australia, like kind of expanding outwards a little bit. It'd be nice to build my team a little bit more. Right now I'm mostly flying solo, have like a few folks that I have kind of on my team in different areas that I can hire. But like potentially working with management would be really cool. It's kind of where I'm thinking about going.
And you've done some of the festival circuit as well.
Yeah, I think I have a giant spreadsheet with like every festival I've ever heard of in Canada. So I think like in the long run, it would be cool to kind of like keep ticking off all the festivals and playing so many festivals. I love festivals, so.
So there's when you're a recording artist, there's one hand you're a recording artist and one hand you're doing shows and doing the tours. How do you, when you look at those, which is one that you gravitate to, that you go, oh my gosh, this is my first choice. I like doing this. What would that be?
I think it's flexible. I think I'm definitely a performer first. Like that's always been my first love, whether it's like acting or music. Performing is at the core of everything that I do, but I think that there's so much value and learning in the recording process too. And that's also really exciting. It's a kind of a different area of the brain that gets exercised when you're trying to arrange music for recording. So it's nice to be able to, oscillate back and forth between performing and recording and performing and recording. So I think you need both. You can't really have one without the other, in my experience.
And to do all this, who are your like support systems right now?
Oh, my family is incredible. My parents and my grandparents. Honestly, they come to like almost all of my shows. If it's in Edmonton, they're there. And to have support like that is so incredible. My partner also, like I live with my partner and he's also my guitarist. So having him around makes my life wonderful. Like he takes such good care of me when I'm working really hard on the computer, doing all the applications and stuff. Like he'll make me lunch. He'll tidy the kitchen, like things like that at home. And being on the road with him is also so incredible. I think because it allows me to take a little piece of home with me wherever I go when he's with me. And I think that that's really special too.
Nice. When you're in the studio, obviously there's so many skills needed. Musically, how did you learn about music that to the degree where you can create your own songs?
Well, I've always had a good ear, I've been told. I don't really have a lot of formal music theory training, so a lot of what I do is very intuitive. I'm like, this is what I feel in my heart, so I think we're going to go with this. And I did learn how to play like piano and guitar kind of through like YouTube. We were talking about that earlier. YouTube and like chords and stuff, and trial by error as well, of course. So I think that all, I really follow my heart, I think, in the studio.
Would you advise other people who are interested in music to do the same?
I think so. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much training you have or like where you come from. I think it's in your heart. And if you're able to tap into that and allow your heart and what feels good in your gut to guide your music, I think that that's the most important thing.
Nice. And we're here in Calgary at the OHSOTO'KINO. What have you gained so far that you're happy you're here for?
Oh my gosh, there's been so many things already. We're not even finished yet, but I think that all of the industry knowledge that I've gotten to tap into, I think having it be such a small cohort has been really useful as well, just for being able to ask those very specific questions instead of feeling like you're maybe taking over a group of 30 by asking something. You're like, you know what, this might be beneficial if I ask this question to not just me, but other people. So I think that's been really great. Having a voice lesson today was awesome. I love it. Anytime I get training, it's like, oh, thank you. Mwah, chef's kiss. So that's all been so awesome so far.
Nice. And also the, connecting with the other 5 participants. What's that been like?
It's been great. Grace and I actually got to do an incubator online a couple years ago together. So getting to know everybody in person, I think, has been really great. You get to sense people's energy a lot better that way. And I feel like everyone here is so kind and so supportive so far. Like, I feel like everyone is here to create a safe space and to kind of bring each other upwards in the process.
Awesome. And the philosophy, I guess, of why you're doing music and being an artist, what's at the core of that? Because that's, I get the sense you wake up and this is your purpose every day. And where does that come from?
I think work ethic and passion, I think, are at the core of that. I know I definitely get senses of dread sometimes if I'm not doing something. So I feel like I've always been a very busy bee, and I've always been really creative. Even as a kid, I was like making menus for my fake restaurants and like making maps of my imaginary like ski hill that I was going to make. So having a career that allows me to put all of that energy into something creative that can help other people and inspire other people, I think that's at the root of it.
Nice. You mentioned a mother reaching out and saying you're inspiring their daughter. Is there, I just think your career's been so varied. I admire what you've done and so much. Is there another example of where you've created songs that maybe at that live performance that you feel like personally rewarded?
Yeah, I think definitely when I was doing my musical, Two-Headed, Half-Hearted, I mentioned it earlier, being able to do that project, I think I felt a lot of that reciprocity, energy stuff coming back to me. It was described as a really touching show, and I think that it really did touch audiences. Like, we'd have people at the end of the show, like someone sat for like 5 minutes in the audience after, just like crying, and being able to see that and know that my contributions kind of helped create that atmosphere that people can feel emotionally connected to the work that I'm doing is really special.
And with that, sometimes it leads to healing. We hear that from some artists. How do you think music can help people heal?
It's vibrations. So I think that there's even research backed into this, but like things like humming can be healing because you're using your breath and it's resonating through your body and it's moving things around, moving where emotion sits. So at the core of it, I think there's like some of that, but I think that even in lyrics, like the words that we are singing, like they can resonate with people in different areas of their life and maybe not outside of what your song was originally intended to mean. Everyone brings their own meaning and brings their own life experience and hurts and struggles into the music that they're listening to. So for me, that's my experience, I think, with music and other people's music, is it strikes a chord in here and in here, and you feel like you're maybe not so alone in your struggles that you're going through.
You talked a little bit about audience, but has there been a moment where you listen to the radio or a program and you hear your song come up? People react to that in different ways. What's been your reaction to that?
Anytime, I'm always like, what? Like, really? My song was on the radio? Like, people will like send me Snapchats of like them videoing their radio. And they're like, hey, you were on like 102.3 Now today. Or like, you're on Element FM. It's like, oh, I heard you in the 7-Eleven today. And it's like, it always blows my mind. I think, especially starting to release music kind of at the beginning of the pandemic, you didn't get to really see the reach that your music had as much. So now that it's kind of coming out of that, I think I'm still remembering that, like, oh yeah, like people actually do listen to your music and it is being aired, and like that's still blows my mind. It's crazy.
And lastly, after this, what are maybe some of your priorities? What are you going to be up to?
Recording. I'm going to be recording really soon, actually, after this program. So I've been in grant mode. Prior to this, I applied for so many grants. So now I'm kind of like, okay, that chapter's closed, and now it's like recording and then figuring out a good release strategy is kind of what's up next.
And when you fan out all your ideas for songs, how do you pick through? What are you going to do?
That's truly tricky for me. That's like always been a really hard thing. And even like writing music, I feel like my writing process is very intentional. I've been exploring and trying to push the boundaries on just being bad at writing and just letting myself write bad songs. So kind of parsing through that material and finding something cohesive was really important for me this time. And I feel like with this album that I've been writing, I kind of had more of a central theme in mind, which is different than my last project, which was just sort of like, oh, like I'll write what I feel like and then it all comes together and I'll pick through. But this time it felt like I was writing for something very specific. So it's a little bit different this time around.
And the timing of being here at OHSOTO'KINO for the incubators, it's just landed so well in your life, it seems.
It was cosmic. Like it was just like literally this perfect fell into place. So I was like, wow, amazing. That's incredible. So it was a very exciting email to receive.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. We wish you well with your career, and it's a genuine pleasure to have you here. So Chimigwech, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.